Hey there everyone, my name is Corey and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to start a new project here on the up north off-grid property. We've got a need for a firewood shed, and so we're going to clear a little spot here at the back of the property. Well, not at the back of the property, but the back of the front yard, and we're going to go ahead and build a firewood shed out of pallet wood. We got some pallets about a month ago and we took them all apart and got the boards. We've got go get another load of them so that way we can finish it off. But we're going to go ahead and get more of them. And then that way we got enough to build this whole pallet wood shed. So basically it's going to be a pretty good sized shed, probably enough to hold about 2 face cords. Don't really have any plans, so we're just going to build it and see what we come up with. First thing we're going to have to do is get this area back here cleaned up. I didn't really want the wood shed next to the garage because obviously the mice like to get into the wood piles, and also the bugs and stuff like that. So we'll keep it as far back from the garage as possible. And as you can see, Denise and I already started cleaning up the brush from the opposite side there. So without further ado, let's get to work. So I went ahead and measured out the floor joists. The pallet wood ones were the 2x4s were 44 inches. Since lumber's through the roof, I'm going to go ahead and reuse this old 6x6 that used to be our electrical pole that got hit by lightning. I kept 11 feet of it. There's still probably about 6 or 7 feet in the ground. We're going to go ahead and use that for the ground contact wood and then put our floor right on top of these. So I've went ahead and measured out 47 inches because we got the 44-inch 2x4s and then two 2x4 or a 2x4 on each side of that, which will come up to 47 inches. We'll make these 47 inches and then we'll go ahead and get these over there and start building the floor. All right, so we finally got everything all squared and leveled up as best as we can anyways. This ground's so muddy and so wet all the time, it's never going to stay level anyways, and I'm not bringing in gravel for a fire shed. So, but we've got the framing on. Kind of went with a 44-inch because the 1-bys that were on the pallets are 44 inches and not 47 like I thought. No big deal, we just adjusted for that. So now we're going to go ahead and stain all this. And then we're going to stain the underside of the floorboards and then screw those down, and then we'll stain those. All right, next thing we're going to do is go ahead and put our rear corner pillars up. Just going to screw them into the footboard there. And we're going to put them in an L shape, kind of like I did on that side already. I'm going to use 4 screws on each board. And then we'll attach them together with a couple of screws as well. Not too bad. And just like our 6-footers in the back, we're going to do the same thing with the 7-footers up front. I've already did that one. I'm going to go ahead and attach this one. And we're about ready to wrap it up for tonight. It's been a long day and we'll catch you back here in a few seconds. So we're back out here this morning and I got a few things done last night after I turned the camera off. So as you can see, we got the cross braces in between the uprights there on both the left and right sides. And basically how I did this is I measured and cut a board in between the 2 pillars there, and then squared it all up. And then came on the back side, and then I screwed a board to the inside here and took a pencil and marked the other side and got my angle for the roof. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put a board across the top of the front of the header board. You can see I got a temporary stud up there to hold it up, and then got one over here as well. We'll go ahead and screw a board in there, get this all squared up for sure, and then go ahead and putting the roof purlins in. Y'all remember what I was saying about the ground being really soft here? You can see how far the ladder sank in. And next we went ahead and doubled up on our header. So next we're going to go ahead and put our back wall studs up. I'm going to widen them out here because our outside siding is only 44 inches long from the pallets. So I'm just going to put a couple extra studs in here so that way we got stuff to screw to. It'll add extra support anyways. And next we'll get on our side studs. All right, we got the whole back side done as well. Now we're going to move on to the flooring. So our next obstacle is to get around these boards. So as you can see, I put a nailer in here. Got one over here on this corner, and I got one being stained for right here. I've got my board cut for the floor. We're going to slide this in here. And then as you can see right there, we got it marked so that way we can take a jigsaw and cut out for the studs so it fits flush over here. We got all the boards on. I used a 1x4 for the spacing, facing upright, so got a 3/4 inch gap between all of them that allow the water to drain out of there. But it looks pretty good, came out real nice. Now that we got all the deck boards on, we're gonna go ahead and finish staining it. Obviously you can tell Denise has already stained some of it. We're gonna finish staining it, and then we're gonna wrap this up here in a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, it's baking hot out here and it's real high humidity, and I am burnt to a crisp. Obviously, being a redhead, the sun is not my friend. So back to the project at hand here. After looking at this and staring at it and deciding whether I like that slope or not, I've come to the determination I don't like how steep that slope is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of top plates right back here. I'm going to take 2 or 3 2x4s and stack them on top of each other and then screw them in. And then that way we'll have less of a pitch. And then we're gonna get our rafters put in. I gotta do bird's mouth and I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to them. So I'm just gonna wing it, hope for the best. Now that is more of the angle that I was looking for. Now I just got to figure out how to cut bird's mouths. Normally I'd watch a YouTube video on it, but the cell phone service here isn't all that great, so I'm just going to wing it, do it my own way, and hopefully it works out. Yeah, that didn't work. Here I can see what I did definitely. I should have come up 1.5 inches on the back side instead of this side. And then I need to put the angle, cut the angle a little longer on the front one there. Disclaimer, don't listen to me when it comes to bird's mouths, obviously. I'm obviously no good at it. What I would do if I were you is watch a couple of YouTube videos, see if you can't learn it on your own. I'm gonna go ahead and keep playing with this and hopefully I get it right. So after a ton of trial and error, I finally got it, so I'm at least happy with it. It's not exactly the best, but it does fit pretty nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up for the night because the mosquitoes are super thick out here and they're eating me alive. If it starts raining tomorrow, then obviously we'll pick this up the next time we're up here. So now that I've got one like I want it, I'm going to go ahead and trace it onto another board and just cut as many as I need and then get them on the roof. Now on the ends here, you do want to make your pitch the same pitch as your heel cut here. so that way when you put your baseboard on, it's nice and even and level, looks level with the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those at the same time. Well, definitely not perfect, but it'll do for what I need. Let's go ahead and get these things stained and we'll get them screwed down. All right, so now that the rafters are all done, what I realized is since I changed up the roof pitch, I am going to have to put a nailer behind here and a filler for a nailer for the siding. So I'm going to go ahead and get those measured out and cut, and then hang those on there, stain them, and then probably wrap it up for the day. I don't know if you can see the sky behind me, but it's starting to get a little gray, and it is supposed to rain this afternoon. So let's get this wrapped up before it starts raining on us. So what I actually did to do that is I cut this board here on the ends at the angles, same angle that I did on my roof, my rafter ends. Held the board up there, screwed it to this board here, and then just went on the back side and traced it out and just cut this little notch out for the 2x4 here. Got it all toe-nailed in and then screwed to the backboard here. So it ain't gonna go nowhere, and it really doesn't have any structural value anyways. It's basically just for siding. Looks like the rain decided to hold off for now, and there's no clouds around, so I'm gonna go ahead and I got one last thing I wanna do for framing, and then we'll get to the siding when we get up here next weekend. I'm basically gonna take and cut a 45-degree angle on a 2x4, and then put it from here and cross brace it up to the rafter here. And I've already cut one in at a 45-degree angle with my speed square. Kind of put it up here. I marked the spot where it sits flat against there. And then I went ahead and took a pencil and marked on this one so I know about where to cut my other 45. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with how this thing's turned out so far. When we get up here next weekend, we'll go ahead and get the sides on it, get it stained, do a few trim boards, and then it'll be ready to load up with wood. So we're gonna put our first board down. I've got the level here, although this probably isn't the greatest level to use for this. Board is level. We're gonna go ahead and screw this in. Next step is we're gonna put one of these sideways here, like so, and then put another board on top of it and screw it in. Kind of do the same thing we did with the floor. Okay, so we got all the trim boards on the back here. We put a vertical board here because obviously the 44 inches don't come all the way to the center. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take two of these and put them straight down just for a trim board, just to make it look nice to the eye. So now we're gonna start putting the slats on our sides. So we're gonna have to start thinking about trimming out the front so it's aesthetically pleasing. And I went ahead and notched out this 2x4 to the center, actually about 1.5 inches over. And then I went up about 10 inches so that way it can fit around this. And basically we're gonna put this even with the side here and then put it up against there and get it screwed in. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and get our sideboards on, and basically it's gonna be the same process as you did with the back ones. I've got a little spacer here, and basically this is one of these boards here from the tops of the pallet, and it's just a little chunk off, that way it's easier to handle. And you can see I've already spaced the first one on here, and it's basically the width of that board, which is basically a 1x4. So I'll go ahead and put this up here. We'll add a next one, and then so on and so forth until we get to the top there. And then we'll have to cut some angles at that, and then we'll come back to you at that point. All right, so we got our slats all up on our side here. Next thing we got to do is put another one up here to kind of match the width here. My gap's got a little bit bigger at the top. I did that on purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and try to match that gap or make it just look aesthetically pleasing. And then we'll screw it here and then go on the back side and trace the line for the roof pitch, which, by the way, I did learn is 412. So I should be able to do it with that, but it's just easier just to trace the line and then cut it out with a jigsaw and then go from there. I'm going to put another one up here so it's got a good nailer to go to. And then we'll do that one just the same way we did this one. And then this side will be wrapped up other than staining it. And then we're going to go ahead and trim this out. And now it's time for us to put on the trim boards. And basically I'm just using slats for that as well. So we got all the wood trim done, trim down the center. Like I said, we pieced the slats together here and here. Cut the 412 pitch in the top. Finally, after towards the end of the project, I finally figured out how to use the speed square for pitch on the roof. So at least I learned something. But we got this all done. Denise is going to go ahead and get it stained. And then next weekend when we get up here, we're going to go ahead and put the roof on. Haven't really decided what kind of roof I'm going to do, if I'm doing plastic or fiberglass or metal. I got to go price some stuff up and see where we're at. But we'll see you back here in a few seconds. All right, so we're back another weekend here. Hopefully this is the last weekend we're going to be doing this project. Finally decided to go with a plastic corrugated roof. I looked at sheet metal and I really wanted sheet metal, but the price of sheet metal right now is just through the roof. So let me show you what we got. So as you can see here, we've already put on the fascia boards on both the front and rear. And then we've also did several purlins. I measured them out to about, a spacing of 20 inches apart. That's basically a third of each one. And then we can get the screws nice and even, put everything down so it looks nice and good. And this is how we're going to attach our purlins. Put pocket screws in each side, and then we'll put them towards the back side so they can't be seen. So we stopped and got our roofing yesterday, and we decided to go with the Sun-Tough plastic corrugated roofing. We have this on our house down in the city, and it's on our back patio, and it's held up pretty well, so I've decided to go with that. Plus it's on the cheaper side. I think it's 26 bucks a sheet. Sheets are 26 by 8 feet. And then also what we didn't do in the city is, and I wish I'd known about this before, was get these closure strips. Unfortunately, when I was younger and did that roof, I didn't know about them, so we ended up buying these. These actually worked out pretty well, and then basically the roofing sits in the corrugated part here, and all you really do is you attach them together like that, and then you screw them down. I'm going to use a screw every three notches. And then we bought some screws that are made for the roofing. It's got a little rubber gasket on it. I'm going to use a deck screw to go hold these down to the purlins. I've got a couple of these up already. I'm going to go ahead and assemble these ones, and then we'll show you putting those up. And basically how these work is he's got a little notch down at the bottom. They got two little fingers on the end here, and you just connect them like this. Now 4 of these will make 8 feet, and they do come 6 to a package. So since we got 8-foot panels and we only need about 68 inches with a couple inch overhang on each side, I'm going to have to go ahead and cut these down. And what I'm going to use is an oscillating tool with a plastic /wood blade on it. We're going to square it up using this old T-square. Guess you do with what you got. I don't have a good one here with me at this property, so we're going to do with what we got. It's still square, so it'll work. So I mocked this all up, but I'm not really happy with it. I've got a little bit of an overhang on this side and no overhang on that side. So basically I need to take every screw out of the closure strips, move it over maybe a quarter to half of an inch, and then re-screw it all down. And then we can and then I'm going to also add some 2x4s here for some support on these ends, both front and rear. Just a mistake I made. It happens. So, and that's especially what happens when you don't have any plans. But let me get that done, and then we'll get back to you in just a second. And now we're going to put up our roof. As you can see, I've already put 3 of the 4 panels up. I'm just bringing you along for the last panel. Basically, we've screwed every rib on the front row. The second and third rows, we put every other rib. And then the last row, we put every rib. And that's just so for wind shear, if it picks up on this, it'll actually be a little stronger. So I'm getting my helper here. She's going to hand me that panel. We're going to set that up here and get that screwed down. Thank you. And these panels, you want to overlap one rib, get it lined up, and it fits in about perfect. And a side note, when you do put these in, you do not want to tighten these screws down super tight. Just enough so you start seeing a little bit of bowing in the plastic. And then you don't want to crush the rubber washer there. You just want it taut against the plastic so that way you don't get no leaking. And this is what our final product looks like. The roof looks all pretty nice. Everything's nice and symmetrical, nice and even. And a final glance over the finished product. As you can see, the roof overlaps the sides there, so we won't have any issues with rain. Now, it doesn't overlap by much, but that's okay. This is just a wood shed. This side looks real nice. I'm not real crazy about that one dark board, but that's okay. We're using pallet wood, so beggars can't be choosers. And the front. Now we just need a bunch of wood. So with a lot of hard work and some free wood and a few dollars in actual hardware and roofing and stuff like that, you can turn a bunch of pallets into some pretty nice stuff. Overall, I think I've got probably, I'm thinking roughly about $320 into this, not including the gas it cost me to go get the items. And it also does include the stain, the screws, the roofing, the paintbrushes for the stain. And I believe that's it. With the market being the way it is now and 2x4s being $7, $8, and $9, you couldn't build this thing for $1,000 if you had to buy all the wood. Hope you all enjoyed this. I hope you learned something from it. Thank you very much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and God bless.